Hello, good morning and welcome to the Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast. Usual suspects, we're back in studio here in Petone, and it just shows we don't have a wardrobe budget, Paul, because we've come up with matching tops this morning. How are we going?
Yeah, it's probably a chance for us to have a chat with the accountants.
Powers that be.
Yeah, find a budget.
Yeah, and get ourselves looking a little bit sharper, do you think?
Well, something that's not more than 10 years old, yeah.
Couldn't be any worse. Did you go to Trentham last week? Did you get out to Trentham?
I didn't make it, no. But watched with intent.
Yeah, very good, very good. It was a good day. It was a good day at Trentham. Steve, good morning to you.
Yeah, morning, Thaddeus. Really good day. I thought basically from race 1 right up to race 10, it was a strong card. In particular, the undercard, I thought Pearl of Alsace, Podium, also Apache Ann in the last, all horses that ran in the undercard worth following throughout the summer. And on the Group 1, Prise de Fer got that deserving Group 1 victory. And I thought if you look at the race shape in total, they went very hard, set up by Deerfield. The first 1,000, 61.69, which relates to 9.7 lengths above par, up to the 1,000 metre mark. And they've run home the last 636 and change. So it really did set up for those horses in the neutral to back half of the field, which we saw the two favourites mapped, Aegon and the eventual winner in Prise de Fer. And I thought there was a key moment into the race. Probably the last 600, Michael McNabb was able to tack on to Aegon and Michael D from about the 600 and just get that stalking position on the favourites back, and in the concluding stages got the better of Aegon to Prise de Fer. Out of the race, where does Prise de Fer go now? Well, he's a hard horse to place because does he go to a mile and a quarter? There's a Beale Classic. That looks to be probably the obvious. But I don't think he quite gets 2,000 metres. He'll run a good race. I think he finished 5th or 6th last year. Is he going better this time round, 12 months on? You could arguably say yes, a fraction, even though he ran second to Captain Cook 12 months ago. But the ideal race in the short term, if it's not the Zabeel, is the Thorndon Mile, set weights and penalties back at Trentham. But and Aegon, I don't think he'll be contesting the Thorndon Mile, which I can understand going over to Australia with Aegon because he's the prize money, etc. and whatnot, but gee, he would have looked well placed because he didn't win that Group 1 on Saturday, set weights and penalties. I think he's won a Group 3 in the last 18 months. He would have been the chosen one this time round for Andrew Forsen when it came to the Captain Cook, but I can understand diverting that particular race and heading straight to Australia. But overall, fantastic race, fantastic card.
Speaking of the undercard, Joe Doyle picked up a couple of nice wins on the undercard. So
did he win back-to-back at one point, didn't he, Joe Doyle?
Yes, at some nice juicy odds as well. So, I mean, it's not the first time we've seen the Irish dominate over here this year.
Very good.
He's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, no, he is. He's
another one to follow as well as the South Africans.
Another one to follow, and Joe Doyle, he had a very good day out. Let's trek up to Hamilton, say good morning to Brendan Popper. Well, don't worry about Trentham. Nice start, Pookie, as well, BP. Good morning.
A very good morning to you two guys, and it certainly was, wasn't it? I mean, it was a race meeting where Sacred Satona was a runner that we were looking at as a prospect of winning the race. The Intimidator was a runner that we were wary of, and look, it sets up nicely for where those horses now head into their summer campaign. And what about Dragon Leap? I mean, Dragon Leap made a pretty big statement there on Saturday, I thought, with a race that's set up for him in terms of pure speed. And when you get 3 or 4 runners that really want to set it up, I mean, he still had to put in some big bounds, didn't he, to win that race. It was pretty much up there with the performance of the weekend, with what he did there, and now sets him up for a race like the Railway. Gee, the Telegraph looks a good race for him, doesn't it? I mean, a good, strong 1,200 metre race that can be suited to a horse that can be strong over 1,400 metres. That's saying to me Dragon Leap. So, yep, I think they've found the right sort of racing for him. And that's 1,400 metre races, and when he's right, he is one of our better horses, and it's just been a case of just trying to get him right on the right track conditions too, because he doesn't like it anything beyond sort of a 6 really. He needs that good ground.
Yeah, absolutely. If we have Levante and Imperatriz BP amongst others, that Railway is really looking like a hot field, isn't it?
Yep, it's what we want, and look, we have got, you know, the rockin' horse Levante form lines that we've used going into Australian sprinting races with what they've been able to do in the last 12 months, and you add into the mixture, as you said, in Imperatriz and the others that are coming through. Boy, it's going to be mouth-watering with those 3 Group 1s coming up over the next next couple of months at least anyway for our sprinting races in the summer.
Yeah, 100%. Now let's stay with you, Pops, and let's touch on your maiden of the week. Where'd you land this week?
Look, I've almost gone for a double dip here on the maiden, because the maiden of the week is 3 horses that bounced out of a previous maiden of the week. Now, Rockburn is the winner of this race. Second and third, gee, look at the second horse. It's back second to last out wide. Mr. Bully T. I'm going to be having something on that next time out to the races as well. And Asterial, who didn't get any favours in the run from the Alexander barn. These are 3 horses I want to be following. But as I said, they bounce out of the Family Ties maiden race, which of course we wait to see how Cruise Missile will perform, who was second in that Family Ties race, who races at Tauranga. We'll see how Family Ties can then step up from a maiden race into a stakes race on the weekend. This race, along with a couple of other very good maiden races at Hawke's Bay, look to be a good. I think we need to have notable mentions for Maiden of the Week. This race we've made as our rock solid Maiden of the Week in terms of the race. But you've got Wet and Wild, who was very good. Princess Biddy as well, for the boys get paid. And then Jesco Absolute, who was a very good maiden as well. And the horse who ran second in Jesco Absolute's race. And Diva Dynasty is a horse that you want to follow as well, who finished into second position. I know that's a Maiden of the Week package, but I just feel as though that Hawke's Bay race meeting has produced some horses we want to follow.
Singular Maiden of the Week. That is a package. That is a package. We've got a few to follow there. Steve, Rockburn strong through the line in Derby calculation, I believe, as well. And that looks like it'll want a bit more ground. We'll be happy with a bit more ground.
Yeah, just firstly, Derby fluctuations opened 101 after its maiden performance. A few weeks ago, on its home track, got to $61 and then went 61 to 26. You look at those sectionals to the 600, 51 and change, 18 lengths below par. You compare it to the 3-year-old 14 and the 65-14 on the same day. It was over 2 seconds slower. So they really have sprinted home 35 and change, 35.08 plus 2.4 lengths above par. That's open class standard. Back to class rating, just a fraction below par, but no knock there. So, yeah, a huge merit on the winner. Rockburn, but also Mr. Bully T, purely on the race shape, because it did suit just on the iron and what numbers we saw there on speed. So those horses were back in that neutral position. Mr. Bully T was best closing sectionals on the entire meeting, and for a maiden galloper, that's impressive. We're following. So yeah, just on the pedigree around Rockburn, because as we mentioned, they're backing it in the Derby. No surprise out of the John Barry stable. It's by Efrage out of a Centane mare. I look at that pedigree around the Centane mare and Tippelwin. A lot of horses are producing sprinting mile credentials, so couldn't find too many staying credentials in the first, second and third dam around that family. So maybe a slight concern there. Saying that, the Sire Efrage has left Derby winners, notably Ginger Nuts, etc. in the last decade or so. But yeah, one heck of a meeting if you want to follow horses, as BP alluded. Probably another one to mention is that Sealed with a Kiss, a Tarzino winning over 1,200 metres is not something they come across every week. So a horse that will get over ground and possibly working back from an Oaks out of the Te Akau barn.
We've got the makers of another half-hour show here, Pops. The Maidens of the Week. I mean, you boys have named about 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think we just needed a review show of Hawke's Bay from their midweek race meeting. That possibly would have been the best way to approach the league up today. But I think we have these type of race meetings before we get to the Christmas period. Hawke's Bay produced it because you get the mixture of Central Districts and Northern form coming together. And there'll be a couple of other race meetings before we get to Christmas where I'm sure we can nail down a few races like that. So, yep, put the fine-tooth comb through that race meeting, Hawke's Bay, on Wednesday.
No, very good indeed. We will do that. Righto, guys. 3 race meetings on a Saturday. Te Rapa, Awapuni and Invercargill as well. We've got a chance to look at 4 races. We're going to start at Te Rapa, which is our feature meeting, Steve. And let's touch on track conditions first, just before we look at this market for the Kell Isuzu, because just again on the weekend arrives and we see a little potential for a little bit of rain.
Yeah, frustrating. We got away with it last Saturday, Thaddeus, at Pukekohe and Trentham, but it looks very dodgy heading into Saturday up and down the country, in particular the North Island. Around the Waikato region, no rain the last 24 hours. Rail in the true position. Track conditions are good for at present. That was done earlier doors today at 8:54. There is showers forecasted today, overnight. Tomorrow morning looks okay, but then tomorrow afternoon, obviously when the racing really starts to heat up, again there's showers forecasted. So, it's a hard one to assess and where it's going to finish up come first race tomorrow, but I'm expecting a soft track. But the weather gods can get it wrong, and we're just hoping so that it holds on to a good 4. But I'm thinking around about that 5-6, but yeah, a big question mark.
Okay, run us through this market for the Kell Isuzu. No surprise, our favourite here after that last start performance.
Is Cinerama, clearly the best back runner. In fact, they're not really punting any other runner outside the favourite in Cinerama. Just looking at the numbers, a tad over 8k has been invested in this race, 7k on Cinerama, so $1.90 off a peak of $2.10. In front of Express Princess at $7.50, Providence Provides at $8, cheaper than Divorce $8.50, Les Sabelaire at $9, then double figures around Les Criere, Slave to Love, Silverina, and AG Babe, who is the ranky at $41. So not too much to speak of outside the favourite here in Cinerama in terms of a betting picture, $2.10 into $1.90 fluck.
Okay, let's have a look at the map, because Cinerama drawn 2, Steve, and she's going to get back as she does, so potential for a little bit of stickiness there.
Yeah, I've mapped it just worse than midfield, but I think where she maps is purely down to Vinny and how much intent he shows on Cheaper Than Divorce, who's drawn barrier 1. Now, if he doesn't show a huge amount of intent, then Cinerama might get in that midfield slot, maybe no worse than 3 back. But I don't think they'll want to be on the rail, so around Cinerama, I desperately think they'll try and stay off the rail, drawn barrier 2. When it comes to the heat in the first 200 to 300 metres, there's just a lack of it. There's no tempo in this race. I've got Express Princess taking a sit. Now, the stable and the jockeys have elected to take a sit, in particular in its last 2 starts. So I've taken a little bit of a gamble here. The lead, it may just default to Providence Provides and Michael McNabb. So, look, if Michael can recover from a tardy start, because Providence Provides this time in has just been a little bit tardy out of the machines, in particular at Riccarton and the Breeders. But I think if Michael can show a little bit of intent, he can come across and get that lead well enough. And I think that the gun map goes to Lee Criere. I think she should get a gorgeous run. She obviously maps 1 out, 1 back, or if there's less pressure inside her, she can sit in 3rd and stalk the top 2, which happens to be Express Princess and Providence Provides. But overall summary, just a lack of tempo throughout, so it could be quite tactical with a sprint home.
Okay. Paul, let's come to you. I mean, Cinerama, we saw what she did resuming there at Te Rapa, and we'll have a look at that Eagle Technology Stakes, but form's frank to some degree, you'd have to say.
Certainly is, as we see, just in behind Pries de Fur here, who, as we know, went on to pick up the Group 1. But the big thing for me is the money. As soon as the market opened, the money came for Cinerama, and it hasn't stopped really, as Stephen mentioned. The bulk of the action in the Kell Isuzu has been on Cinerama, now into $1.90, and I can certainly understand why. So I don't know, do we look any further? I know there is, it's a nice
We've got to fill up 10 minutes
field.
here, mate. We've got to fill up 10
I know
minutes
it's a nice compact field, but she's a standout, isn't she? And from that speed map, I think the only thing is, does she get trapped or in a tricky spot?
Well, she got trapped there a little bit, BP, didn't she? Extracted late, and we saw what she did through the line. And also Cheaper Than Divorce there, getting home strongly over a distance probably short of his best, which she strikes again.
Yeah, look, there's a lot to unfold around that race, and I guess the first thing we need to mention, and Stephen spoke about it when we previewed that particular race, is the likelihood that Cinerama would go cold in the market, and it did. And it went so cold it got out to $11. So I'm guessing there, with off the back of how that market price changed from where she was, $4.50, $5, out to an $11 price, the expectation was that she was going to not win the race, she might run well. She got awfully close to winning. I mean, next hop she wins that race, Cinerama. We know she's in foal. She's second up. 1,600 metre form is good. Like, I know that was over 1,600 metres first up, but she does have a record over 1,600 metres. She's won 3 stakes races. She's Group 1 place over this distance. She's so well placed under weight for age. When you consider some other horses in the race, like AG Babes, a rating 70 horse, well, it has to carry the same weight as Cinerama. It's just not fair for some of those other horses that are trying to tackle Cinerama in this particular race, because she is high quality, and they're looking to try and get that elusive Group 1 with her. Fingers crossed before she tips out into retirement. It really does look to be her race, doesn't it? I guess a couple of little things with her is she has been that touch slow away in some of her races. When you think back to some of her earlier races, there is a couple of horses in here that are like that. Le Criere is the same. I mean, yeah, she does map to potentially get a great run in the race, but she is just an awkward horse to try and get out of the barriers. She ran a great race last time out. She ran the last fastest 400 and 200 in that race. Map doesn't look good in terms of speed. Where is she going to end up? Can she make the most of her good barrier draw? Because that's going to be the hard part for these horses that are getting back in the race. If there is going to be a lack of tempo, any horse that is back worse than fifth on a sort of average tempo, it's going to be very hard to go past some very nice horses in front of them. So you can't be conceding these nice types too many lengths. That's why I think Express Princess and Providence Provides do have their chances in the race with their opportunity of really controlling this race. If it's Express Princess sitting on trail, Express Princess leading, Providence Provides sitting outside leader, which the way that is going to unfold between those two horses, they have a great chance of running in the money at least with how the map sort of sets up for those two horses.
Yeah, well, you touched on Express Princess, Steve, and ever since they've sort of ridden it just off the speed, and we saw in the Auckland Breeders here as we're having a look at it, to Silverina also in the race, but ridden with a sit, it's really been finishing strongly.
Yeah, look, they've opted to take a sit. The state were pretty clear about that 2 starts ago, bouncing out of Tauranga, I believe, when it was its 2 starts back. But it was a good gutsy second here. Look, never a chance beating the winner out of the Alan Shark bound, Darcy Labella, but probably at around about the 300 mark, she looked like at best she was going to run the first 4, but she got up to run second. I thought it was a gutsy performance. Any rain/aqua around in the next 24 hours will suit this individual, Express Princess. And you look at the race shape, look, I think the key figure there is the class rating, 1.7 lengths above par. Now, I know the winner won by roughly 2 or so lengths, so you've got to take that into account. But overall, a fairly strong speed rating, bouncing out of the Auckland Breeders over 1,400 metres, and that matched, which is the other key form line around Prise de Feu and Cinerama at Te Rapa a few weeks ago. So, look, in terms of 1,600 around Express Princess, because all her numbers have been over 1,400 and below so far in New Zealand, but it did win over 615 metres at Doomben back in April last year, albeit that was 72 grade, so take what you want out of that.
Beautifully delved into the form, finding that.
Oh, well, I think it's important how the horse is assessed over 1,600 metres. I really didn't have too much data, obviously, here in NZ, but and its 1,400 figures were strong through the line in the last 100, 150 to suggest 1,600 shouldn't be any dramas. But look, it has ticked that box, albeit in lower grade company over in Australia, but it has performed at 1,600, which I initially thought might have been a bit of a query, but as it's turned out, I don't think it's a huge knock, considering the race shape as well. But any rain, I think, is crucial. So there's a few horses here that might be a slight negative around the rain-affected track. Providence Provides probably one of note. Cinerama is neutral, can handle all track conditions when it comes to the point end of the market. But Express Princess, no knock if we do get rain and a downgraded track on race day.
Okay, and Providence Provides, Paul, was the other one that the boys have mentioned as a bit of a speed influence in the race. We know it's up to a race like this, but well, 2 starts ago, but can it measure up, I guess I'm asking?
Oh, it certainly can, yes she can. Boy, she's had her fair share of bad luck, and almost all of it's been in the Canterbury Breeders. You just stay away from there if you're Providence Provides, but she can. And from that speed map that Steve's put up a little earlier, I think she gets to the lead, and Mickey McNabb, he might just be able to control the tempo from the front there, get a wee bit of a breather, and turn it into a sprint down the straight. And if that's the case, and Cinerama finds herself in a wee bit of trouble, I don't think Grills will have her back on the rail. I think he'll have her one off, just in behind midfield. But if Cinerama does find a little bit of trouble, Providence Provides might just get a couple of easy splits and then sprint down the straight at Te Rapa and hey-ho.
Show him a clean pair.
I think Michael, in terms of whether he leads or not, might be dictated how the track's playing throughout the day. If there is rain and the rail's playing slightly off, potentially, then Michael might be happy just to sit outside the leader here. But he's got plenty of options. It's race 6 later in the day, and he can assess how the track's playing.
Okay, BP. Well, if you took Cinerama out of it, this becomes a tricky race. It's sort of setting up for maybe a little power play here, potentially.
I think so. I think it's a power play race, and if you're trying to wait for a boost on Cinerama, or wait for some sort of drift, which I don't think is going to happen, the best way to sort of play into the race is to, fingers crossed, have a boost or a power play. So the power play option here I'd be looking towards is trying to leverage off Cinerama to win, and either taking Express Princess or Providence Provides in that probably top 3 bracket. I'm guessing it'll be a top 3, not a top 4, but there've been just a small field of 9 runners. That would be the way I'd look into it. Look, a couple of other horses we need to mention here. Cheaper Than Divorce. Look, she was good at the end of the race, wasn't she? And when we spoke to Roger James, it was a glorified trial. It was really, he put it out there that she wasn't going to win that race, and I quite like that. I quite like hearing that. I mean, punters need to know either way if a horse is going to win or if it's there not to sort of just have a bit of a sighter, and Roger was pretty clear on that with Cheaper Than Divorce. She doesn't have the barrier speed, but gee, if she could at least just hop away and be 3 back the fence at least, it gives her a chance of being in the money, of being a top 4 chance. Le Sablier is a horse we tried to line up because it's coming back from a Counties Cup. It's a horse that it runs well at 1,600 metres. And the one horse that I think if there is rain about, Silverina. This is the one where, look, it's a rating 68 horse who's won 2 races from 7. But she did run a very good race, didn't she, I thought, in the Auckland Thoroughbred Breeders. She was only 3.5 lengths off them and behind Darcy Labella. The track condition was a heavy 8. I'm not saying the track's going to get to heavy, but if it's just got a little bit of moisture in it, it might be able to help her chances to run a rough top 4 chance if you're just trying to find something at a bit of value away from those sort of top 2 or 3 in the marketplace. But, yeah, she picks herself, doesn't she, Cinerama, with what she's done and with her most recent run at the venue.
It ran above betting expectations, Silverina BP, didn't it, last start? Because it was sort of about 30 to 1 until about 18, 15, and ran a bit of a bottler for 5th.
It was. I mean, it was a blanket finish and behind Darcy Labella, wasn't it? There was a lot of horses there that were fighting out those other placings, and she wasn't that far away from them. Draw, sticky, 7. Not sure what they want to try and do from there. It's a horse who's tried to find anything where had she been able to find herself a little bit forward and running. Because I guess we spoke about the map beforehand. I was trying to find something else that might try and be a little bit aggressive from an outside barrage or to put themselves into the race to give them that opportunity. And look, something might come out of the woodwork, but I was, you know, an AG Babe or a Slave to Love, those horses that are drawn out. But there's nothing there to say that any of those horses will do that unless they decide to roll the dice on the weekend and try something different.
Yeah, Paulie, where'd you land here in the Kell Isuzu?
Very similar to BP. Cinerama obviously on top. Hopefully we can get a wee bit of a power play.
Yeah,
Cinerama to win. Providence provides top 3.
Yeah, anything in that Twitter poll potentially?
You'll have to wait until towards the end of the show. But
I know BP'd like a boost.
Yeah, well,
he loves a boost.
Hopefully we can sort that out for BP. I didn't mind. Slave to Love, possibly. That was a tough run last time out. We've been singing the praises of Warren Kennedy. That probably wasn't his best ride, to be fair, since heading over onto these shores. I'm not sure what he could have done, whether he should have dropped back or pushed on forward, but 3 wide pretty much the whole way with no cover. So Slave to Love, I think, will be a lot fitter after that run and be able to run in the placings.
Okay, feels like a power play race, trifecta race, potentially with the favourite on top. That's what I'm thinking.
Indeed, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of Roxy music, eh?
Slave to Love, very good. For the old people, that one.
Yeah. Stephen wouldn't know.
Stephen wouldn't know, too young. Righto, team, let's move on, Steve. Race number 8 on the card. This is the Cup, the Waikato Cup, and, well, a relatively short price favourite in a competitive betting field.
Ahead of our Self-Obsession, drawn a sticky gate from barrier 14, heads the market at 380, unchanged from yesterday afternoon. Aromatic 650, the 2 horses that Cornelled at Pukekohe in the Counties Cup at the pointy end. Charm Star at $8.50, Victor Vegas $9, another one that's drawn a sticky gate. Shares the same price with Dionysus at 9. Z Falls at 10, just in a point there for Z Falls. Platinum Invader at 12, just gone the other way. Aurora Rocks 18 to 15, a horse that maybe a pace influencer in this particular race. Just a May $16, Roger that 18, Macedo 21 with Rapid Falls, our 9th. Also at 21 with Poser, who needs a couple of scratchings to get in. So, look, busy race. There's 4 or 5 they're willing to play early stages. Thaddeus, Self-Obsession holds the court 3.8, but in that pointy end, Z Falls and Dionysus have been well tried, both gone in one roll.
Okay, VP, we've got the Tiakau pair on top here, or the top 2 in the market currently, but an excellent betting race. But they did Cornella, the Counties Cup, last time out.
They did, and Aromatic was really good, wasn't she? I mean, this is a horse who's covered a lot of extra ground. loves running second. I mean, she's run second 10 times in her career, and at one stage here it looked like she was going to run second again because Self Obsession was coming back at this horse. Self Obsession is going to get a good race very shortly, and it could be tomorrow. We know how good she was as a 3-year-old filly. A couple of things just haven't quite gone her way, and look, I was concerned about the heavy nature of that track on this occasion, with all that rain falling on the day and through the day. Getting mixed reports on track conditions. It was good, it was heavy, it wasn't heavy, it was sort of heavy. It was a really hard day to try and get a true line on those conditions out of Pookie on Counties Cup Day. But overall, look, Aromatic was too good, and Self Obsession is so close to getting it done. And Barrier Draw, look, it's niggly, but it's a horse who could possibly also try and find a spot. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the best way to try and overcome a Barrier Draw and try and follow another horse over. You've got a runner like Urua Rocks, who's right underneath, who can go forward. It could be that chance to sort of follow that runner over. And if the track condition's holding up in a good spot, and I guess that's the million-dollar question as we do this on Friday morning, is what is the track going to be at 4:49 if that rain falls, if it doesn't fall. It makes it hard to assess because there's a few runners here that also don't want the track to be wet. They want to be holding in that good 3 to early soft bracket. So yeah, that's the hard point at this stage. But overall, I think Self Obsession is a deserved favourite with what we've seen from her so far this prep.
Paul, you were all over Charm Star last time in the Wanganui Cup, and it nearly got the job done for you. Got it in your numbers, Charm Star?
Certainly have. Very, very encouraged by this run here, and I think another big chance on Saturday at Te Rapa in the Cup. So, if Billy can get him just a wee bit closer. Her a wee bit closer.
Don't worry, I do it all the time.
yes. I think a big chance at the price. I love the price at $8.50. I think we might get a wee bit more on Saturday. I don't think we've seen a flood of money on the favourite Self Obsession as of yet.
No.
So I'd expect to see a wee bit more action heading the favourite's way. In fact, heading the way of the top two in the market, Self Obsession and Aromatic, which means we probably get a wee bit of a drift on Charm Star. I think anywhere near $10.
We step in.
You snap that up.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very happy. I can understand why Self Obsession is the favourite here.
Yep.
Only just went down to the stablemate last time out, gets a 1 kilo swing in the weights. It's just a draw for Self Obsession. Aromatic can sort of, Grillsy can once again decide where he wants to go with Aromatic and set the race up. But Charm Star, I think, is a huge chance.
I knew you'd be all over it. Steve, look, Self Obsession, 3.8. What's holding them back here? I say holding them back. It's relatively well back, but I'm potentially expecting to see a little bit more. What are the negatives potentially that customers are seeing?
Well, I think the Matt, there's a bit of speed underneath it. There's 2 or 3 that want to go forward, including Rua Rocks, also Cherry Lane. I think Z Falls will try and hold a spot from Barrier 1, so I think they'll go even tempo here. Not to say that she may be caught 3 wide facing the breeze, but if they want to get on with the job, they might just have to do a little bit of work in the first furlong or 2. I think the biggest concern is the overall speed rating out of Pukekohe. If you're assessing where they are in the market, and I'm talking about Self Obsession and Aromatic, 386, 650, the 2 of them. So they dominate the market. I think it's fairly even, just reflecting on what they're paying and what race they're bouncing out of in terms of speed rating. So I think their prices will hold up. I think there's enough in this race, in that middle market, for those 2 prices to hold up. So I think that's probably the 2 negatives. One, where does it get in the map, but also the overall speed rating out of the Counties Cup is a slight concern. Okay, BP, there's a couple here in that middle market Steve talks about that have been backed, and one of them Z Falls, the other one Dionysus, who was a good winner last start.
Yeah, look, and we know that he's more than capable of performing over this distance, don't we, in Dionysus? And he is a good up-and-coming stay, and he gets himself in the right spot in the weights, doesn't he? I mean, he gets in at 53 kilograms, and those sort of horses can win a race like this and just have that advantage on those runners that are above him. And he was very good through the line. He wasn't at Awapuni. On a track condition that was rated a heavy 8, and look, I know he would prefer the better footing. There's no doubting that, but he got through the condition there, and he won quite easily. It was a rather soft win Palmer's riding good. He's on the horse again on the weekend. I've got him as my second pick in the race if the track holds up. I really do think he is a dangerous lightweight prospect in the event because of just where he's tracking and what he's done previously. And of course, as I said, he is a winner over this distance, over the 2,400 metres. Then you start looking at, your Z Falls and your Rapid Falls, PC Pussycats, all those sort of horses. It's a good Cups race, and you're going to get these sort of runners that can be the each-way chances that will get specced at different prices. If it rains, well, Victor Vegas is a chance, isn't it? A horse who was beaten in the Counties Cup when finishing into 9th position. What do we do with Platinum Invader? I mean, Platinum Invader is at the other end of the market and the other end of the weight scale, and Just Amaze and Roger That. I mean, Roger That's an Auckland Cup winner. Platinum Invader, high-class performer at Cups level. Just Amaze, a former winner of this race back in 2019. Where do we sit with those horses in the race is the guess, and Platinum Invader probably the one who bounces out of that La Flora Bell race in the Whanganui Cup last time and running 4th. Sort of hints that he's not too far away from peeling off a race like this. So, yeah, I just find it hard to try and line up those top weights.
Just keeps going and going, BP, doesn't it, this race? Steve, thoughts on this race? I mean, it's just, as BP alludes to, it's just a cracking betting race in terms of a Cups race. It's what you want to see.
Yeah, just on Dionysus. I think there's a sense of timing. It's one horse that probably hasn't hit the ceiling yet, where you've seen a lot of these horses that have been running in these Cup races for the last 18, 24 months, where Dionysus, we know, won the Dunstan last year, still on the upward spiral, comes out of the right barn, sits on the minimum, albeit winning a 74 grade, so it's stepping up to open class in terms of the staying ranks. But yeah, it's probably the one horse I want to be on at a $10, $9 price. I think there's possibility that it could climb that betting ladder purely on those 4 or 5 things I've mentioned. Handles all track conditions. The question mark over around La Flora Bell and the Whanganui Cup, as we saw there, the sectionals breaking it down, is very much a sit and sprint. They've dawdled to the 600 and they've sprinted home, and La Flora Bell, because of that, had the trail, was in the right spot and looked strong in the last 100, 150 and through the line. But gee, I've got a query over 2,400 La Flora Bell. I thought her sweet drop's probably around that 2,000 metre mark. So with a strong tempo, or at least even tempo, as I've predicted in this year's Waikato Cup, I think she's a little bit vulnerable in that last furlong or two at a nice strong 2-4.
Talking Charm Star there, sorry.
No, La Flora Bell.
Sorry.
La Flora Bell,
Sorry.
yeah, the winner of the Whanganui Cup. I just thought she was in the right spot, in the right race shape, where they've crawled to the 600, sprinted home. On the ice, she looked strong in the concluding stages and through the line. But I think that was a touch misleading. I think with even tempo, as I mentioned on Saturday, I just got a big question mark how strong she'll go over 2,400 on pedigree, and from what I've seen numbers-wise around her. And Platinum Invader, look, he's been there, done that. He's helped by the presence of the local and Just Amaze. He's been carrying 61 and 60 in his last 2 starts. He drops to 58.5. Even with that big weight, punters naturally drift away from those horses. They like to find those horses that are carrying that middle range to minimum in the staying races. So with 58.5, he has to be superior, and just on latest numbers, he's not. So I could see probably his price drifting, but those 3 horses I've just mentioned in the last 2 to 3 minutes, Dionysus is the one for me, and I've got him on top.
Okay. Paul, we'll go back to BP in a second for his final summation about what he's going to do. What are you going to do here in the Waikato, Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup?
Yeah, I'm going to be all over Charm Star. I'm going to wait late.
You think you're going to get a bit more?
I think I will.
Okay.
I think I will, yeah. And I just like the way that Billy's riding at the moment as well. He's had a number of rides on her, and they've been there or thereabouts. Building for this one. I really like the chances of Charm Star.
I like your confidence, BP. If I had to twist your arm now, what would you be doing in this year's Waikato Cup?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Self Obsession. I think she's worthy of not too far away from picking up a good race, and it could be tomorrow's Waikato Cup. So I'm with her as my top selection, and Dionysus is the one, like Steve has basically said. I think she presents as a presents as a great sort of $10 prospect, a Dunstan winner over 2,400 metres. Things set up nicely for him just with where he sits in the weight, so he'll be a cheeky each way at the $10 price.
Okay, very good. Right, we better move on, team. I can see the time against us already. Minute with Moati time, but no.
No, we're waiting for next week.
Okay, we need to get you back out on the road, do we?
Yeah, well, we probably do soon, to be fair. I don't know where else
People
we go.
tune in just for this two minutes, you know. They have to sit for half an hour and wait for it, and now it's not here.
So I'll go to Rip. Randwick or Flemington next.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Doing Aidan Rodley. Let's get you over to Flemington. Beautiful. Okay, team. Race number 4 on the card. J-Swap Sprint. Group 3, Steve. Over the sprint trip. Have a look at this for a betting race.
$7.50 the field.
Wow.
Faithful Feet heads the market from the original price of $8. So there's a little bit of support on the favourite. The best bet runner happens to sit with number 17, Pin Me Up. Now, the interesting thing around that is it's yet to be in the final field. It needs one scratching, it's on the bench, it's emergency number 1, Pin Me Up, but clearly it is the best back runner in terms of dollars invested. $8.50. Our Alley Cat at $9. Double figures around Gospodin. Just refresh my page. Gospodin at double figures at $10 with Germanicus. Dragon Queen also at a $10 price with Tavere. Pintura, Oscilleta, Clever Ruds. Also Zalia, if it can get a couple of scratchings, $11 each of 4. Out of those 4, I should mention Clever Ruds, 18 to 11. So always well played during the week, Thursday and Friday, as we touch on particular runners on this show. But Clever Ruds, I think that market, or around that price, will soften up on race day. But the initial firm is there, 18 to 11, and then best of the rest is Talor at $12. And should also mention Gino Severini at 15 will carry the top weight of 60 kilograms. But yeah, busy betting race. Couple of firmers there. But the best bet runner purely on dollars invested sits with number 17 and Pin Me Up.
Oh, BP, yeah.
$7.50.
Yeah, you don't see him like that too often, do you?
Crikey, there's a bit of meat in this sandwich.
There's got to be some value somewhere.
I'm sure BP's found it.
One word, help.
Wow. Well, let's talk about speed first of all. There's lots of it. There's a lot of runners that will want to be pushing forward, and that's going to help you if you like something in that middle range that possibly could get off the speed. That's one thing to take into consideration around this race with horses drawn low and some drawn out that want to go forward. That's going to help a lot of horses' chances here over 1,400 metres. I mean, where do we start? I mean, Faithful Feet's race is probably the best one that we need to identify first of all, because, I mean, she's won from what was it, barrier number 12, and just got running. Just jumped on the bunny and just kept on going. Now, this horse is drawn the outside gate of 19 and we're waiting for scratching, so no matter what, it's going to be drawn the outside fence. So is this what they're going to do on Saturday, is press forward? Now, there is a lot of good runs out of this race, as good as she was. She ran them off their feet. I really did think second, third and fourth ran well. Second horse, Dragon Queen, she, for me, maps to be in that sweet spot of off speed, let it all happen, but she's got a good draw. She can get a position where she's maybe like she was last time. She was full back the fence. She was able to finish off strongly. I like her chances at that $10 quote for that reason, because she could be the one finishing late in the piece. One More Time's a speed influence, who's drawn out in barrier number 11. She was better in that race when finishing 4th. If it starts to rain, well then Gospodin's a chance. We know that he's a runner that can sit close to speed as well, and he finished into 3rd position. If it doesn't rain, Germanicus, I think, is a hope off good speed at a really big price. He's got Opie Boston aboard. Our Alley Cat, we know, is a horse who's back in winning form from last time to the races. I just find this race interesting in terms of trying to dissect it, and then actually trying to come up with 4 numbers is probably the hard part.
I'm only giggling because you've mentioned half a dozen, and we're only just scratched the surface here, Paul. What the heck are we going to do here?
Well, as Stephen said, the second favourite waiting for a scratching to get into the field.
Yeah, that's interesting in itself, isn't it?
It is, but and I'm surprised BP did BP mention Gino Severini? I'm not sure.
He didn't get down that far. He didn't get a chance.
We'll go back. We'll go back soon. A Faithful Feet, though, as we saw from that race replay just before, went to the front, whoosh,
cleared out.
Went away.
Well, they thought there was going to be plenty of speed in that race, and it just took out. There was a key scratching.
2 scratchings.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Tight Line and also Clever Ruds came out on the morning of the race, and it really did set up for Faithful Feet. And you look at the summary in terms of the race shape to the 600, 5.2 lengths below par. So even though they look like they were going along at a fair clip, numbers suggest differently. So Faithful Feet had every opportunity to kick away on the home turn, and look, it's running home 34.79 for the last 600, Faithful Feet, on a day when no horse broke 34 at Te Rapa. So mathematically, it was just impossible for any horse to finish over the top of Faithful Feet. I think she ran home in the the last 600 was in the top 4 or 5 of the day. So, and she was able to do that, as we've touched on. A couple of key scratchings on the morning of race day, but also the overall race shape where they've gone out fairly slow to the 600 over 5 lengths below par. So I just don't see that race shape here, as BP's already alluded. There's 3 or 4 that add to this race. You look at the horses that have speed, one more time, Gospodin, also Clever Ruds will start in this particular race. We'll try and hold a spot from barrier 2. So, and now Faithful Feet's drawn the outside barrier regardless of scratchings. Just don't think the right race shape will be there to suit, which it was last start.
Who else? Yeah.
The money was on.
Faithful Feet.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Not just last start, but the fresh up start when they started this campaign. The money was on both times. They finally got the race to suit last time out.
It's up 4.5 kilograms as well.
Yeah,
it's a decent weight.
The car park, as BP mentioned, so Sammy's probably not going to be able to get across and lead, so they're going to be slotting in somewhere around midfieldish. So it's sort of things are conspiring against her this time out.
Things are conspiring against her, Paul. The next obvious question is, what do we do? What do we do? Where do you got in your numbers?
Well, if Pin Me Up makes the field, you've got to have Pin Me Up in your numbers. But I didn't mind the look of Vigor Winner. Forget last time out, heavy track, and if the track sort of holds,
slow range,
yep, then look, absolutely flew home in the Sweyness. Placed in this race a couple of years ago behind the likes of Coventina Bay and Prise de Fur. So Vigor Winner at around, I think, $15 now. Got Joe Doyle on. He's riding okay at the moment.
You did mention that. Your man Joe Doyle. Yeah, okay. BP, we could probably have an hour show on the J-Swap Sprint. Surmise the race for us, please, and where would you be heading?
I mean, if Pin Me Up does make the field, it changes again in terms of numbers, doesn't it? And the money about her, the way that she sort of presents here, she'll love a bit of pressure on. Well, we all know that with how she won the 3-year-old Karaka Million Classic. There was enough pressure on that race for her to finish over the top. So if that's the case here, over 1,400 metres, I think she's riding commission. I do like the Moroni Gerard horses because of what we've just spoken about and the speed. I think Dragon Queen and Tavia. I don't want to drop Tavia yet. We've seen 2 runs from the horse, finishing 8th and 7th, and they've still been okay for me to say that this horse is not too far away. This race shape really should suit her at this venue over 1,400 metres, a little bit further for her. Michael McNabb aboard. I thought she was a really good $10 prospect along with Dragon Queen. I think both those horses sit nicely here. And look, an old mate of mine, and it's not Gino.
I thought you'd teeing it up for Gino. 100% I did.
Gee, I don't know what to do with Gino. Look, he's got 60 kilograms. He's got a good weight. I was really hoping he'd finish not 5th and possibly 4th last week. What about Germanicus? Look, Germanicus is a runner that comes back to a track that he has a good record at. He has Opie aboard. He has a terrible draw, yes, but he'll probably get back anyway. He just might be one of those horses. He ran a super race and behind he's a doozy in the Copelands to be beaten 5.5 lengths. If the track's holding up and it doesn't rain as much, he'll be on my numbers. But if it gets beyond a sort of a 6, he probably won't be.
Okay, Paul, final words here in the J-Swap.
I'm going to have an each way go on Vigor Falls. Vigor Winner.
Sorry.
I just think as long as the track holds, we don't get anything worse than a soft 5. Then I'm happy to have a little throw of the dice in a wide open field, as the odds suggest.
You don't see too many races like this, do you?
No.
So many horses between $10 and $15. So yeah, if you can find the winner there, you will be well rewarded. We want to head down to Awapuni and spend the next 10 minutes on the main race down there, the Eulogy, Steve. But just talk about track conditions and tell me we're not going to get any rain at Awapuni tomorrow, surely.
Yeah, there is the odd shower forecasted as well. I'm just going to go to the website here. It's currently a soft 5. Rail out 6 metres using the outside bend, but there's no rain in the last 24 hours. But they've added 5 millimetres of irrigation in the last 24 hours. So I think that's just to play safe, just in case there is rain on race day. But again, there's the odd shower forecasted. I think it'll be around that soft 5, soft 6 brand. Hopefully it gets no worse. And it'll be a reasonable track. But currently a soft 5, and that was recorded this morning, Friday morning.
Okay, run us through the market for the Eulogy. It's race number 8 on the card, the Lawn Master Eulogy Stakes, over the 1600 for the 3-year-old fillies.
Yeah, Soph Mays heads the market for Alan Sharrock and Sean Mackay, $5 fave. In front of the stablemate in Librasserie at $6.50, just out of turn. Tavachi Princess, 8 into a 7. And Secura Girl, yet to have a jockey for Ben Foot. $8.50 into $7, so a bit of a firmer there, but again, yet to have a jockey allocated for number 9, Secura Girl, so we'll keep an eye on that the next 24 hours. Penny Wecker, also a firmer, 9 into 8, one horse that has a betting trend on Thursday and Friday, and on race day can be a little bit soft. I'm a Rich Girl at an $8 price. Family Ties, we've already spoken the form lines around her particular maiden, $8.50. So I've mentioned 7 or so horses that which was roughly 3.5 points separating them from Soph Mays to Family Ties. So again, a very compressed market. Sadaka at double figures at 10. In the Loop, it was very good on the eye at $12 when breaking its maiden win, and Sequoia Star $15 with Complicate. So a very compressed market. There's plenty of ways you can angle the form, but Soph Mays heads the current line at a $5 price.
Okay, BP, pretty loose favourites here, and Soph Mays, Librassi, but they're both trained by the right man in Alan Sharrock, and it's probably the form to look at with them both coming out of that Awapuni 3-year-old race and running with some merit.
Yeah, yep, they did. They did. They deserve to be in the marketplace, don't they? This is a good race. I mean, this is a chance to line up where these horses are at. This is that opportunity where you've got yourself a nice 3-year-old filly and you want to be racing sort of Christmas and then beyond, and then finding out what you might have. And this is really that first line in the sand for those horses that have bounced out of winning a maiden race. It might have been a midweek maiden. To then step up to that next grade and see what you've got. And this is what we're going to find out here tomorrow, because this is a really much a fact-finding mission for a lot of these horses. And as we saw there with that particular video I've just shown you there with Librassi and also Soph Mays finishing into 3rd and 4th. Look, I do like Family Ties. I think we've mentioned it beforehand. It's got an inside draw. It was really good win at Hawke's Bay. I think there was a lot to take away how she's really powered up down the centre part of the racetrack. This is the effort here from Family Ties when she won. She's a daughter of contributor, and she was able to come off speed nicely, and the form's been franked from that midweek maiden. And then you've got Tavachi Princess, who was a winner last week out of Trentham, and I'm a Rich Girl, who also bounces out of a midweek maiden. So I found it really difficult. I really did, and I'm leaning on this horse to maybe see if she can make that next grade, that next step up. I guess the concerns are 1,300 metres up to 1,600 metres. That was sort of the middle of November. That's a little red flag compared to a horse like Tavachi Princess, who won last weekend at Trentham over 1,400 metres. Yeah, look, you mentioned Tavachi Princess, Steve. It was an upset winner at Trentham, and albeit an upset winner, it was about 31 into $18. And listening to Royden Burgesson after the race, has some opinion of the fillies, so maybe it wasn't a fluke.
No, I like the horse. I got the horse on top. Tavachi Princess on the quick backup. Tracked to hot speed last Saturday and behind Wessex when stepping up to 7 furlongs. Strong through the line. Real sense of timing around this individual. I think she's been wanting 1,400. She finally got 1,400 last Saturday at Trentham. We're seeing the footage here. She came off the back of Wessex. Was very, very strong. Has the pedigree, being by Tavachi, Waikato stud, homebred. You see there, look, they've come home fairly slow, but they've gone out extremely hard, 47 and change to the 600. Class rating, no knock there, purely when you're assessing it against some of the other fillies and what races they're bouncing out of. I think the overall summary in this race is Soph Mays. I'm going to take a knock, and a serious knock on this horse tomorrow, Soph Mays. I'd be surprised if she closed favourite. I think 1 or 2 of these last start impressive maiden winners will attract a lot of money, will be firm late, and I think the give will be around Soph Mays. 1,600 is a big query around the son of Darren. You look at Darren and the progeny. Look, Darren himself was an out-and-out sprinter, just an outgunner, 1,200 metre sport, 1,200 metre horse over in Australia, and I just don't like his progeny when they're stepping over to 1,600 against our own breed. So I'm taking a little bit of a knock there. Look, I will say the Dam did win over ground, 2,100 metres. The Dam won. Messiah, I think it was. Yeah. I think she placed 5th or 6th in New Zealand Cup. So, but naturally, when you're looking at a horse, in terms of the distance range, it falls back on the sire line. So I'm fairly keen to knock it over 1,600 metres. overall, I'm taking a little bit of a knock against that particular race they bounce out of, the Tazera race. I think the Tazera form line, as an individual, the winner,
It's impressive.
is impressive.
Yep.
And I want to isolate her alone in that race. But overall, the horses that finished in behind, I want to take a slight set. So the 1 and the 8, the 8 and the 1, I want to take a knock. I reckon Soph May starts in that 3rd, 4th, 5th line potentially. And I think the likes of 4, Tavachi Princess, Sakura Girl, even the likes of Family Ties will lift on the betting ladder come tomorrow afternoon. So,
Paul, Steve suggesting there's going to be a bit of movement in this market, and that's the sort of thing you enjoy.
Yeah, indeed. And I guess with Soph Mays, look, she had an impressive 2-year-old campaign. She's just taken a wee bit longer, I think, as a 3-year-old to find her feet. But look, in the space of an hour on Saturday, Alan Sherrick could be waving to the crowd with a Group 2 at Te Rapa and a Group 3 at Awapuni. So, yeah, I agree with Steve. I think she's probably going to drift, and we've already seen money for Tavachi Princess. Congratulations to Brammers, who's part of the ownership team of Tavachi
Good old
Princess.
Brammers.
I heard he had a very big night at Sky City on Saturday night. So, yeah, I do like the look at Tavachi Princess, the backup after 7 days after that win at Trentham. Penny
else?
Wicker, don't you walk on by. I give her a chance. I like the look of Penny Wicker, and I see we've
Plenty of money for it.
Yes, money as well, $9 into $8.
big syndicate involved. Normally well tried on Thursday and Friday leading up to race day. But
You're saying don't panic.
yeah, I wouldn't say don't panic.
I do like her over the mile as well. So, yeah, Tavachi Princess and Penny Wicker are the 2 that I've got at the top for mine.
Yeah, okay, so you're expecting a little bit of movement in this market as well. Okay, BP, we'll come back to you and get your summary of the race and which way would you be betting into this year's Eulogy?
Look, I actually like I'm a Rich Girl, number 11. Now, she's drawn the outside gate. She's a lovely individual by Mongolian Khan, and I have no issue with her sort of going beyond 1,600 metres. She was a good winner last time to the races. A midweek race where the field did fall away, but she was good in the race, and it's a chance to find out where she's at. Lisa Allpress aboard for Andrew Forsman. I think she could get a little bit lost in this market, and you might get a little bit more. So she's at $8. We've mentioned a lot of different horses here that could take money, and are horses that have run well last time out. So I thought she was a split bet with maybe Family Ties, runner at number 6, who's got the good gate, and again is sort of hovering around that sort of $7 mark, somewhere around that zone. So, yep, happy just to try and dive into the middle market here.
Okay, you're a middle market man as well by the looks of it.
Yeah, I'm going Penny Wicker.
Yep.
Yep.
And Tavachi Princess as well, potentially.
We'll be in there somewhere.
Just on Tavachi Princess, you're comparing it to Podium's 1,400 metres on the same day. It rated half a length superior, and Podium's got a lot of spruiking out of that particular barn in the Hawke's Bay. So.
Okay, well, so what I'm hearing here, we need to be betting into this market today, this year's Eulogy, and snapping up a touch of value. Right, best bets time, gentlemen. Pops, we'll come to you first. Where did you land for your best bet this week?
I'm going to go to Te Rapa, and I'll go to race number 7 and SVR. This was a very, very tough watch for a lot of punters last time to the races if you were on SVR. And old mate Blind Freddy was texting me saying SVR could be a bet next time to the races. This was the time SVR was winning and Sam Weatherly was aboard. Sam's aboard on Saturday, so let's hope that they can right the wrong. And look, I know he can be a little bit of an awkward horse to ride, but if they can get the right run here in a 65, a little bit of forgiveness in the ground's not going to be an issue for him. And we'll go with the Son of Shocking in race 7, SVR.
Sounds like he might have had $1 on himself last time. Paul, what do you think?
I have no doubt that he did.
Okay, your best bet, please. You would have picked a nice easy race for your best bet, a nice little small field.
Yep, let's head to the Waikato Cup, and I do like the Lisa Ladder trained Charm Star. Currently $8. I just like the way she's finished off her races the last couple times out. What at Awapuni and Wanganui. So Charm Star, I think she can go one better here. Pick up a nice prize.
Nice,
on
easy
Saturday.
field to have a bet into. Yeah, you've picked a beauty.
That's why we get the prize.
Yeah, that's a good point. You make a very valid point. Stephen, your bet of the weekend, please.
You have to wait a while. Race 9 at Te Rapa over the 1,600 metres, rating 75, tried gallopers. Number 2, Mary Louise, had 2 resuming runs as preparation for 2 very good wins in the Central Districts at Trentham and Alpern. He stepped up to the mile last start, got the job done, high speed rating, 1.2 lengths above par, handles any track conditions, so if there's a bit of aqua on race day, no negative around number 2, Mary Louise. Current price, $5.
See, they're backing it too, no surprise.
Yeah, good support. I've got it probably starting closer to $4 than $5, so there might be a little bit of fat on the bone.
Okay, we've got a fantastic day's racing ahead of us, regardless of whether this rain arrives. Paul, what do we need to know before we get out of here?
What have we got? Well, we've got a bonus back blitz on the first 4 races at Invercargill, Awapuni, Te Rapa and Randwick. Just check out the Punters Lounge for all the T's and C's there. We've got our leg up Twitter poll as well.
This is where we get our boost, isn't it?
This is it. So I hope BP's still with us because the 4 runners that you can vote on, Cinerama, Self Obsession, Another Bella and Lightning Jack. So, yep, vote at the Twitter poll there. Leave a comment and you'll go in the draw for the chance to win a $100 bonus bet. But if you like BP, I think we'll be taking a few bets on Cinerama.
Oh, to give it in, Cinerama. So who's the other one?
Well, yeah, exactly right. Well, yeah, and Black Attack 12, at Black Attack 12 last
week's winner.
Last week's winner, he got a $100 bonus bet.
He did.
Yep, very good indeed. Yeah, would you probably vote for Cinerama in that poll as we say goodbye to you, BP?
Yes, I would vote for Cinerama there, guys. What are we expecting in terms of price-wise tomorrow, where the horse lands? I mean, are we talking 170 zone? Is that where she's going to end up?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I think $1.70. We've seen in previous weeks the punters are really gravitating to these short-priced favourites in these feature races. I think Craig just rides her in that neutral position, doesn't change tack with her.
No.
She only needs to be 2 or 3 lengths off the leaders. She has such a superior turn of foot and numbers in that closing 600. She can still do the job if she's 2 or 3 lengths off them at the turn.
Okay, Pops, where are you going to be tomorrow? On track or in the studio? Or?
Yep, we'll be there with Lee Finnis. Looking forward to that. We'll be there at 11 o'clock for the Punters Lounge and then hopefully staying dry. Hopefully that rain doesn't come and we have a good day out because this is a day that the locals do love to come out and enjoy themselves, Waikato Cup Day. So make sure you get along and enjoy it. Also, just quickly mention too, the Invercargill race meeting. This is a big Saturday with 3 race meetings on. They've got a huge day down there, the Southland Crystals as well, $40,000 race. So this is their day as well that they love to turn up and enjoy themselves. And of course, next week, they've got themselves a Group 1 on the harness code. The Invercargill Cup is now a Group 1. So that's a fair bit happening down at Ascot Park over the next couple of weekends.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we couldn't get down to Invercargill today. They only give us an hour here on the leg up, and you boys do go on a bit. We better say goodbye, Paul. Thank you for your efforts, as always. Goodbye, very good short. That's what I needed. Steve, have a good weekend.
Yeah, cheers, that is.
Okay, and thanks to BP as always, and thank you to you for joining us once again on the leg up. We'll see you in 7 days' time.